Thank you so much for coming to help us with our kickoff of a very important campaign. Our initiative, Let Voters Decide How San Benito County Grows. We'll have a little bit of time to talk about it. We have our guest here, Sam, who will be speaking about that. But before that, we have some wonderful musical entertainment with our talented violinist friend here, Adam Scow. He's in the, which orchestra are you in? The Santa Cruz Symphony, okay. Santa Cruz Symphony. Also plays for some mariachi bands.
Thanks. Great to see everybody here. It's just wonderful. And I've made a career off doing ballot initiatives like this, and the positive is that we can do it, we have to do it. The reality is a reflection of the current level of politicians we have in this region. And I hope more and more of you will consider running for office, because God knows we need you. I'm involved with a similar campaign in Watsonville to protect the farmland around the city of Watsonville. And we are having a heck of a battle there. But we know we're going to win. It's just a matter of putting the labor in, putting the walking in, doing the work. You got a great team of experienced leaders. You got a great strategy. Now you just got to go put in the work. And whoever wants it more is going to win.
Thank you so much, Adam. He's our very talented musician friend. He has many talents. He's also running a campaign, which I want to tell you about. It's an urban growth boundary initiative, very much like what we're doing. This is for the city of city of Watsonville. This was done actually quite a few years ago, so they're renewing the initiative. The election is also in November, like ours. So basically, an urban growth boundary initiative means that if there's any annexation of land from, say, the agricultural area around Watsonville, it requires a vote of the people into the city, that is for development. In fact, we were originally going to do an urban growth boundary initiative for the city of Hollister, because what we learned from our friends in SOAR Ventura, SOAR stands for, I think, Save Open Space and Agricultural Resources. Open space is all one word. And the SOAR folks told us that you need to do an urban growth boundary initiative for every city, if that's incorporated, and for the whole county. So we are doing it for the whole county because the one that we drafted for the city of Hollister, we had to put on hold because they're currently updating their general plan. And so the attorney told us that we have to wait 2 years. So that's fine. You know, this will be quite a handful. This is what we call the mother of all battles. We're going to probably see maybe $2 million or more spent against us. But I feel pretty optimistic that we can win this. You know, I wanted to mention that we also have Don Zanger here, who's running for supervisor of the northern district of our county. And we're very grateful that he is running because he supports our initiative and letting voters have more say. But
we're in a situation here that is exactly what initiatives were created to deal with. The initiative process began in California back in 1910 when our state was run by Southern Pacific Railroad. And Hiram Johnson and the Progressive Republicans pushed in some of these ideas of direct democracy because they realized that legislation was being put forth to serve Southern Pacific Railroad and similar interests and not the people. And here in San Benito County, it's clear that people have a very, very deep concern about the pace of growth and the effect that that's had on the quality of their lives. And the best evidence of that is that each time that the people have been asked to weigh in on these decisions, starting with Measure J, when we were asked whether we wanted to start an oil industry on a major way in San Benito County, and the people said no to that, voted yes, but it was a yes on J because we set up rules that made it so that they couldn't go forward with a oil industry, with fracking and other similar enhanced drilling methods. And then in 2020, when they first proposed developing all the on and off ramps basically on Highway 101 to create these development nodes. And for those, we started talking about what nodes were. And to give good idea of what a node is, drive down to Prunedale. Prunedale is a node. It's an area that was rural land that was rezoned to commercial, and it's a nightmare. You drive through there, it's dangerous. It's a blight in a lot of ways, and it's not the way to preserve the character of rural communities. So the folks have been voting fairly consistently in this county at about 60% saying no. You know, Strata Verde at the beginning of the pandemic decided that they were going to bypass the whole planning process using a loophole in California Environmental Quality Act, where if you pass development by initiative, you don't have to go through all those hoops, you don't have to go over those hurdles. And they thought, given the economic distress that the country was facing, that the people would jump and go forward and support their proposal. And of course, once they rezoned, they were actually free to do virtually anything under the rezoning that they had. It was very wide open in terms of the zoning change that they had. And that again, even though they spent $750,000 and those opposing it spent $30,000, the vote was about 60% no on that. So the people, as I said, this is clear that there is a great mismatch between what the people in the county want and what their elected representatives seem to want. Because the response by the elected representatives after we voted down the nodes was to find ways to approve the very same projects, just giving them different commercial designations. After the people voted down Strata Verde, you know, when they gambled on bringing the issue to the voters, the supervisors immediately said, okay, come through the normal planning process now, when they had every right to say the people have already spoken on these issues. Now, under California law, the right to legislate is actually reserved to the people. We delegate decisions to our legislative bodies. And at any time when we feel that those legislative bodies are not representing us on critical issues, we have the right to take back that authority over those issues. Now, we collected 4,092 signatures. We needed, 2,060 to qualify? And having collected 800 of them myself in this county, I talked to well over probably 1,200 people in parking lots and outside post office, and I can tell you the sentiment is very strong that there is something amiss in our county. And then I highly recommend that people look at the economic impact report for this initiative, which is now, by the way, called Measure Q, and I'll tell you a little bit about the wonders of Measure Q in a second. The economic impact report is really curious because it basically assumes that the supervisors will approve every single development that is in the general plan. The 4 major new community study areas, all the nodes, and it assumes that if the people have a vote on this issue, that they will approve none of them. So it's almost an admission that our county supervisors in no way represent what the people in San Benito County want. You know, and so the question is, who are they? Who are they representing? And I think the answer is fairly clear to folks, that they're representing the moneyed interests that see this county as basically just an annex, a southern extension of Silicon Valley, and have no other vision for our county, don't appreciate the other kinds of potentials. And when you raise the issues of what could be done in this county, we talk about the other counties that have given people more authority over development. Napa, Sonoma, Ventura, they say, oh, we're not Napa, Sonoma, and Ventura. And you can bet that if we leave these people in charge, we never will be. We'll be something much more nightmarish. We found out a few days ago that our measure is Measure Q. And I think it's a wonderful letter for us, because our literature, our whole framing is about questions and answers. You know, is more development going to make your traffic situation work? Answer, yes on cue. Are our supervisors maybe overly influenced by developers? Yes on cue. And so I think it's a wonderful way for us all to participate in this, and at this stage we really need people to reach out to their friends and families and ask themselves, look at that map from the general plan, look at those new community study areas, look at those nodes, and imagine what this county would look like if, as the supervisors have said, they're going ahead with all of that.
And if we want to win with Yes on K, we need all of you, because it's always a small group that we end up working day and night during the week. So you want to win? Believe me, we won every K, M, and measure J and Z. It's because we worked super hard. We believed in what we were doing. We knocked on doors. We convinced people. And believe me, I'm already starting campaigning in the grocery stores and say, you guys, we're going to have yes on Measure Q, and tell them. And all the people are against the traffic. They're fed up with what's going on in this county. So you are the ones, each one of you that's here. I want to see you knocking on doors. I want you to go into shopping centers and convincing people about why you're supporting Measure K.
Q.
And yet, oh, Q, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm confused with all the initiatives we've got. Anyway, I want to introduce, it's a pleasure to introduce Sam Farr. I think this year was when you actually ran for Congress. And when I saw him, I said, that man looks like a good man. He's not the typical politician. And at that, 30 years ago. So I think for 20 years I was his delegate. And I had many fundraisers for Sam here. And he would always send me a bouquet of flowers, thanking me, what beautiful. So I haven't had any of that from any other politician. And he's the only one that I really like and believe in. But I was in immigration at that time when 187, everything was going on, people discriminating immigrants. And one of the reasons that I supported immigration is because my father was undocumented, and he bought 11 children. 6 of them came here to the United States, undocumented. And so my father always said, don't forget where you came from, and get out there and help these people just like they helped us. And of course, we all became citizens and so forth. So that's one of the reasons I was with immigration, but also for the people. So Sam Farr has worked a lot on immigration. We had our first swearing-in ceremony here, and it was a success. We had 200 people become citizens. And not only did I stop there and made them become citizens, I took 2 years off from teaching to start a program to educate the people about becoming citizens and how proud they were. And the people who become citizens are the ones that actually get out there and vote than the people who are born here, let me tell you. They're proud, all immigrants. You're talking about Asians, you're talking about blacks, you're talking people from all over the world that we had in our swearing-in ceremony. And that gives me a big pleasure. But I continue another year to educate them about voting, what the process was, and the machines and the whole thing. So that's what I've been doing, and still I like to get people involved and make sure that they vote and hear their voice. So anyway, I served 20 years serving Sam Farr, and he helped us with Measure J. And one thing about Sam Farr, he was in the Peace Corps when my husband was in the Peace Corps, and he's a sensitive person who loves Colombia, who loves the poor people, and that's what I like about Sam. He never forgot, well, I don't know, he didn't come poor, but with the people he served in the Peace Corps in Colombia. And you know what? They still talk about this man, but they don't know why this congressman loves Colombia. He just talks about them. And you guys still have projects there, don't you, Sam? And so you know, Sam is a dear friend. He respects the people, the poor people, and that's what I always liked about Sam Farr. But this is the person he is, and he offers us, go to our property. I take friends over there, have picnics. It's a pleasure to introduce Sam Farr.
Thank you, Margaret. I wish my wife was here to hear all Now that I've retired, she says, this house is too small for two people. But she also had a great expression when I got elected to Congress and she watched how I operate. She said, you know, you're still a Peace Corps volunteer. You've just changed your barrio. So I'm glad to be in this barrio. And, you know, people, why would somebody from Carmel be interested in what happens over in San Benito County? Well, the truth is, I love the history of California, early history. If you really want to read an exciting period of history, read the 40s, 1840s. I mean, everything happened in that decade. Can you think about it? I mean, would have Mexico ever seceded California if they had discovered gold? The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, I think, was in 47, and we discovered gold in 48, so timing is everything. But in those days, when government was being formed in early California, Monterey County was the place. I mean, this is where this Western civilization began in Monterey, in Monterey, and it was supported by all the rural areas that fed it with all the hides. That's how money was made. There were the early years before whale hunting. All the money was made off of cattle, and if you read about Richard Henry Dana's 2 years before the Mass, he talks about incessantly about cleaning hides every single day. And when he shipped back to Boston, his boat, can you imagine, carried 40,000 hides. I mean, that's a lot of cows. In fact, they didn't even have, they couldn't afford bullets, so they just ran the cows off cliffs. But you know where the cows came from? The missions. They were the biggest ranches. And one of those big missions was ranches in California was yours, here in Hollister. So and when we were original county, Monterey County, it included all of San Benito County and it included Santa Cruz County. And later on, and Monterey became the county seat for the whole area. And the politics in Monterey were pretty parochial, and people felt in Salinas, where all the agriculture was coming from, in San Benito, they figured Monterey was too far away. They never paid any attention out here. Later, Santa Cruz did an initiative to break away. So this bay, the watershed of Monterey Bay, has been a historical political unit. In fact, I think that the economy of this area and the politics of this area are all a little bit different than the rest of California. We're surrounded sort of mountains between us and everybody else. And therefore, what happens in one part affects another part. So it's not just a county boundary line that separates us between Monterey and San Benito. It's really, we're all interdependent, because you can't get to the Monterey Peninsula without going through. You can come through Santa Cruz, but if you're going to come down Highway 101, you got to come through San Benito County. And to get out of Monterey County, if you're going north, you got to go there. So that's where all the traffic jams are out here. It's everybody trying, and so when you start doing development here, I think all of us in Monterey County ought to be paying a lot more attention, because the negative of that development is going to affect everything that passes through this county to try to get south, or from south to get north. And what really ticks me off in politics, I think that's why I've been grew up in a family fighting for the little guy or the people impoverished, is why so many people want to pick on San Benito County. They're using this county as a dumping ground. Why? Because everything they want to do here, they can't do in Santa Clara County, they can't do it in Santa Cruz County, and they can't do it in Monterey County. So what happens, if they can't do it there, where do we go? Let's go to San Benito County. It's a rural county, you know, we can just, and what happens, I was on the Board of Supervisors, and I was in the State Assembly, and I was in Congress. When you're in elective office, people come to petition you for their needs. And of course, one of the most important issues, certainly if you look at the amount of time that the Board of Supervisors puts on, it's land use. And in politics, we in Washington say all politics is local. The reason is that everybody in Washington is from some local area. And therefore, it's not how the nation moves, it's how does this, whatever we're doing, affect my district. My district. As one of my congressmen, when he retired, and he said he was a congressman from Toby Moffett from Connecticut. He said, "Sam, you'll learn in Congress that your constituency doesn't care if you vote, if you're the casting vote to declare the next World War, but they'll care whether you bring home the money for the bridge." And so that lobby on the elected officials, when you think about it, people are going to do development. They're going to hire, they got lawyers, they've got planners, they've got smart people. And they're going to come and talk to you, and you know, you run for the Board of Supervisors for whatever reason, not because you have a background in planning or zoning or anything like that. It's education in the fast lane, because you're only going to have a lot of votes in Washington, and you just have a few moments to decide whether you're going to vote for something. And the board, you have more time because they're lobbying you, but they're going to come in and talk to you. You get elected, you're what we call the Peace Corps AB generalist or BA generalist, and you have this whatever background you have. All of a sudden, somebody's making a lot of sense, and it's really driven by money, not money that they're going to make from the development. It's driven by the money that the county or city can make. And the people that are running the cities and counties, the city managers and the CEOs of counties, their biggest concern is that budget. Because the pressures on them are huge. We need to have more employees. Employees want a raise. We have to put more in the retirement. CalPERS is on us. We have liabilities for the county. They're always thinking about costs. And how do you supply those costs? Well, the best way to supply it is to get sales tax for local government, because that's the revenue. That and hotel tax stays exempt with the situs. So 100% of the sales tax in Monterey goes to the city of Monterey. They are so rich from the tourism. Carmel the same way. Seaside doesn't have any one hotel, and and Marina is beginning to develop them, but they all are looking at the ideal is to build hotels, because that's where they get in, and then they can levy the tax on it called the TOT, Transit Occupancy Tax, and that stays 100% in that community. Sales tax you share with the state, but the majority of the money comes back to the local community. So if you want to really, and other kinds of things, now I understand they want to expand the dump, and people will argue, well, those dump fees are going to come back to the community. I just heard that you're getting just a small percentage of those dump fees. My God, you ought to be getting 100%. And if they're going to expand the dump, where's that garbage come from? Monterey County, Santa Cruz, they don't allow we don't allow garbage to come from other counties. We have a huge dump in Marina, and everybody wants it because it's been voted as the best dump in the world because they do all recycling. They recycle everything. Even now, they're recycling houses that are torn down, all the construction stuff, cement, things like that. But the point is that so that the legislators are lobbied that, look, this makes a lot of sense, and by the way, this is the amount of revenue, of new money you're going to get, which can pay for all those things. You need roads paid for. Roads aren't paid for out of development; they're paid for out of gas taxes. So there isn't going to all this money that's coming into the dump isn't going to help your roads at all. And it really pisses me off when I see, because I've been through it all, and I've lost some of those cases in Monterey County, but we won them. And we won them just like what you're doing. The board would approve projects, and the residents of the peninsula would just throw up their arms and take it and referend it. And every time they took it to the ballot, the voters beat it down. And you don't want to have to do that development by development. What you want to do, and it's, I would have originally opposed having everything that you're developing have to be a vote of the people. But when the system's so broken, and there are models, because when I was in Monterey County, I used to say, well, why don't we copy what Santa Cruz, small county, and live with less revenue, and yet they're doing some very progressive things in the mental health fields and in other kinds of areas. Why can't we copy them? You know, and the board was a resistance, don't tell us, you know, but in a way, those models people started looking at them and said, well, why not? And here you have some models of other counties done this, required a vote before they, yes, and then, and you talk about Napa and Sonoma, my God, they ought to be models for you, because at one time, they weren't a destination. They were another rural area north of San Francisco, and nobody gave a damn about them. And all of a sudden, wine became popular. They had the microclimate for doing it. You had all these big money investments on the land, and all this, and now it's, why is it an attractive county? Because it's rural. What is going to be left when Santa Clara is paved over? The mountains in Santa Cruz isn't going to allow development, so but you still have the valley. You know, it's not flat land between here and there. It's sort of geographical barriers, and they'll take care of their own. In Monterey, you'll just be this dumping place of sprawl, and the residents who are here now, and this is what it seems to me the campaign is don't we want to have a say-so in it? These elected officials, they think they're doing the right thing because they get lectured on this sort of the business deal. The business, you got to make, you know, we're a county, we need revenue. It's all about money, and they think that, but the big difference, what I learned quickly on the Board of Supervisors, is that county government is designed to be a rural government. As the planning department used to tell me, we don't do curbs and gutters. We don't do sidewalks. That's what cities do. Cities are urbanized. City cops have the authority universal to stop you in your car, investigate a crime or anything. Urban areas, no. Sheriffs do crime. Highway patrol does roads, rural roads. I mean, it's a very bifurcated system, and it's designed to essentially take care of non-urbanized needs, rural needs. So when the county starts playing the role of developing these nodes or these communities, these centers of concentration, they're horrible at it. You're right, Broomdale is an absolute mess. And nobody came out and said, you know, oh, this is going to help everybody if we just do it. It just became hodgepodge development. Whoever developer could convince. And by the way, if you haven't got involved in the North Monterey County supervisorial race, do, because if we get Glenn Church elected, he's going to help your county as much as he's going to help Monterey County, because he really understands land use planning and how North County was so screwed up. We need to reinvest in what we call democracy. We're not doing it. We haven't had to pay attention to it. And what really struck me in 2020, I was out of office, but I was close friends with Gail Pellerin, who's actually running for the Assembly now in Santa Cruz and Santa Clara County, and she's going to win. But she's been the county clerk for the last 10 years in Santa Cruz, and she just was adamant about people registering and voting. And she did probably the best job in the state, because Santa Cruz County, although the smallest county in the state, in the land use area, had the best turnout. And it was like 58%. And the Democratic Party had a big celebration because they elected all Democrats, and said, yeah, great, we have the highest percentage of turnout in the state. And they asked me to speak, and I said, great, but if you were in college or in school and you got a 58% on your test, what grade would you get?
D.
And I said, why are we? Why are we a country that isn't trying to obtain at least an A- or B+ in our voting? If we believe in democracy, and the world's asking us, I wonder if this system is working. I wonder if they like what they've created in America, this so-called democracy. Why don't they turn out? Peru has a better turnout than the United States. I mean, if you're a legal resident from any other country in the world, think of Americans living abroad, they're living in this country, they have every right of a citizen in this country, except the right to vote. All the pensions and security, Social Security, Medicare, all those things, they're entitled to all of that. But they're not entitled to vote. So we We get born into this system and we don't even know we're citizens. I'm so angry with voter turnout in America that I'd love to adopt what they do in Australia, and that's fine you if you don't turn out to vote.
There you go.
Now they put on the ballot none of the above, so here we are in an era where we're interested in voter turnout, and you've got something that really should motivate the voters, is take back our power as voters to determine the outcome of this county. Don't allow people from outside this county who aren't going to be here. They're going to make a lot of profit off of us, and we're going to have to live with all the liabilities.
Yeah.
And traffic is the worst liability in California, and it's not going to get any better for a long, long time. I'm interested in San Benito taking back its power. It's going to make the developers come to this county and really convince the voters that what they want to do is in your best interest, not in the CEO or the city clerk's or city manager's interest, but in your interest. That this neighborhood is going to benefit from something that's done in the rural area, and that'll make the planning process much better. You know, it's almost a bicameral process. We don't have that in local government. You have a unicameral legislature. I said the most powerful political position I ever held in my life, and the most fun, looking back on the most fun I ever had in politics, was being a county supervisor. You have absolutely power on every kind of aspect of government, and it only takes 3 votes, and your decision's final. You don't have to go to another body. You don't have to have a governor or president threaten to veto or beg for them to sign your bill. You're in absolute power. And it will just make that process where their decisions are subject to voter approval, and that'll make them better legislators. So essentially, what this Measure Q is about is essentially San Benito Accountability Act. Do we care about our own county enough where we want to be involved in the decision making, or are we going to just give up and allow these outsiders to come in and dump on us, literally and figuratively? And I think it's time to take back your power and take back the energy that's in this room on a forum of a meeting. You have enough questions, all the questions you're raising too, to come to sit down with the board and say, look, this initiative is going to happen, and we've got a good track record. So we've got, we can beat you.
Yeah.
They may not think you can, but they know that the history is you can. I mean, you've got incredible power.
Yeah.
But you have to go in there with what is your ask? What do you want to negotiate? And maybe you want them to hold off on something or do something that'll, if they're doing the general plan, they could write their general plan right now so that so that your initiative is in, not that you have to go to the vote of the people, but you can plan the planning so that all of these questions you're asking have to be answered before the board can make a decision. If I were going to look at what I would try to think about as going back to basics, what does San Benito have that the surrounding areas don't have? And I say, you know what you have? You have rural roads. Not that the other counties don't have rural roads, but that's how you get to everything in this county. And what you have to sell is the things that have been lost in Santa Clara County, and certainly have been lost in poor developments in other counties. I think San Luis Obispo is a county that has horrible land use planning. If you're driving 101 south, you leave Monterey County and it's absolutely no billboards, you're gorgeous, and you get into San Benito, San Luis Obispo County, and it's all these little communities all along Highway 101, they're all going to merge. And then you get into Santa Barbara County, and it's open space again. And Santa Barbara's done a really great job. I mean, the counties that are amazing are if you think about it, is Marin County. All the development in Marin County is on the east side, is on the Golden Gate side. All the other side of Mount Tamalpais, the rural area, which Barbara Boxer used to represent when she was a supervisor, and she told me this. She said, on our board, if a developer wants to develop, they have to go to the supervisor of the district. And if that supervisor is against the development, they can't even bring it up to the board. We've all agreed we can veto these proposals. And, you know, Marin County now is a lot of it's in national park. And you know, the farmers the dairy farms up there were absolutely opposed to all of the acquisition of the Golden Gate National Parkway until the federal government said, we're going to buy you out at fair market value. And they said, we don't want to be bought out. We just grow cows and we want to continue to grow cows and milk them. So we'll give you the money. And with that money, you're going to put a restriction. That's all your farm can do. And you can take the money and go somewhere else. So you know what they did? They took the money and reinvested in their farms, and they're all there now. They're selling cheeses, and look at all this stuff that happens in West Marin that is sort of a destination for the area. And I think that that's the kind of things you ought to look at in San Benito County. What can we offer? Because people live in urban areas who want to go to the rural areas. That's what wine tasting is, an excuse to, oh, let's go see the country. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do when you get there? Oh, we're going to wine taste. But of course, you have to drive through all the rural areas to get to the wineries. That's what you really enjoy, is that rural experience. So with all these roads here, how about finding just destination points? Yeah. You know, I love Parkfield. I don't know. I don't think there's many people in the Monterey Peninsula that haven't even ever heard of it. It's in Monterey County. It's down in the southeastern corner of Monterey County. The town has 11 people in it. It's the earthquake capital of the world. And it's where the tectonic plates meet. And there's a bridge across the fault line. And it's an old wooden bridge. More people are seen taking pictures there, standing on one tectonic plate on the other. You know, it's just a little attraction, but and they have a steakhouse. It opens when people arrive. I mean, if you're not coming, it won't be open. Yeah. And you get all these people that like to do destination, motorcycle crowds and RV people, they go down there for the day, and in the summertime and fall they have music festivals and art festivals and all kinds. 11 people, really rural town. But that income sustains that little steakhouse called the Epicenter Cafe. And it seems to me that there are things like that you could develop in this county and to get people to go out in the rural areas. But in order to maintain being rural, you got to stop sprawl. And that's what you're doing. And I applaud you for it.
Thank you so much, Sam. We really appreciate all your support. Sam was actually with us in 2014, helped us with Measure J, the ban on fracking. So, and also he helped us with Measure K and supported Measure N. So we really appreciate his support for the past 7 or so years. I see Rob Mendiola here. He was actually our planning director. I don't know if that's the official title, for many years. I don't know if you want to say a few words about planning, but he was very knowledgeable and really helped to defend our county from overdevelopment. Unfortunately, the supervisors decided they wanted to let the developers have more sway. So anyway, so we lost, a real protector. Dom is running for the Northern District. Which number is that one? One. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. All right, first I just want to see if we can get a round of applause for everyone that helped put this together today. This is awesome. Thank you. So my name is Dom Zanger. I'm running for County Supervisor in District 1. I don't have much to say today. I'll keep it short, but I just want to talk about the initiative. And to me, part of the role of a supervisor would be to represent the wishes of the residents of the district and of the county. And to me, this initiative just streamlines the representative process. So it just makes sense to me, so I support it. And as supervisor, I'll publicly support the initiative and things like this initiative and things that have similar effects to it. And right now, it seems like we're at a real crossroads. We have an opportunity to preserve what makes this county unique and to explore the opportunities that Sam was talking about and Andy was talking about, some of the opportunities that we have before us. And so I think this election, we got to get good people in office and get good things passed. And I'll say that I'm not taking any money from developers or special interests because... Yay! Thank you. I just want to do what's right for the county. It's very simple. So I don't want to be influenced or let anyone think I'm being influenced even. So yeah, we got to get good people in office, good things passed, and I'll just say that it seems like oftentimes change is made by a small group of highly motivated individuals, and it seems like that's what we have here. And so I think we have a real opportunity to do good. So with that, I'd just say let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Dom is the top two vote getter from the primary. So he's going to be in a runoff in November. So if anyone wants to speak to him about volunteering, helping him, some of our volunteers helped with his primary election. Did you want to say a few words, Jim, about agriculture and anything like that? Because this initiative, you know, it's based on the Ventura Initiative, which is save open space and agricultural resources. So it does do a lot to protect agriculture.
Thanks, Mary. I'll be real brief. I actually invited a good friend of mine to come speak today, Javier Zamora, who has a very successful small farm over in Monterey County. But like most, I mean, the reason you don't see farmers here today is they're at markets or they're busy with their farms. But
Mark is here.
Oh yeah, Mark Gibson.
Mark Gibson.
Mark Gibson.
there you go.
Mark has always supported us with Jay and all of the campaigns.
Great. Well, I mean, so the message that I wanted to just kind of pass on, when I look at San Benito County, especially when I'm coming over Pacheco Pass and coming into the county, and I look out across that beautiful valley and all that, all those working lands and ag lands, and it just haunts me every time I see that and know that there's these proposals for these pop-up developments all through there that will eventually, you know, has the potential to pay that whole thing and make it look like Silicon Valley. It just breaks my heart. And I think the thing that we really need to, well, there's one thing I want to just, Javier was going to come, he couldn't make it. He went through a program in Salinas Valley called the Agricultural Land-Based Training Association program. And they trains aspiring farmers to become farmers. They mostly work with Hispanic community, but they have, San Benito County has become the kind of the epicenter of where their graduates go. And these are young, motivated, highly trained agricultural experts that have a very hard time accessing land. And I just see so much potential in our region to be a prime agricultural community that has the potential to feed the entire Bay Area. And if we don't wake up to the fact that the whole global situation is changing very rapidly, and climate change is certainly pushing it. But if we really need to, we really have the potential to become a prime agricultural producer in this region and to supply commodities that don't require a lot of shipping, and it also provides the opportunity for people like ourselves and our families and our kids to actually engage with these farms and interact with these farms and learn about the critical importance of ag in our communities. And if we don't do that, I mean, it's kind of like, it's not good. So I guess my message is, when I see this initiative, I really am looking at it through the lens of agriculture and the importance of preserving ag land, preserving working lands, and building a strong agricultural community here. And I think, you know, we have so many interesting examples here locally. Coyote Valley is one where development has been allowed, kind of hodgepodge, and it has such a huge impact on ag and the ability of, you talk to those farmers in Santa Clara Valley, they're really fed up because of the pressures that these developments put on ag. And so my vision is for this to remain a very strong and viable agricultural community, and I just think that's just going to be an absolute benefit all the way around.
Thank you so much.
One comment, when I was on the Board of Supervisors, the South County ranchers, and I didn't, I represented the peninsula, and I didn't know anything about South County ranchers. They're big cattle ranchers in southern Monterey County. They came to the Board of Supervisors asking us to rezone. And usually what ranchers want, because behind them is real estate development. So usually they want us, to downzone, I mean, to give them, we had 40 acre minimums for rural agriculture. The cattle ranchers in South Monterey County came in and asked the Board of Supervisors, no Sierra Club support, no environmental support, just the landowners saying, we want you to rezone this to 360 acre minimum. And we just blew our minds. They said, why? And they said, well, because San Luis Obispo County is starting to have realtors talk about wine growing in Monterey County, and they're coming in and developing these little, what they call 4x4, these little tiny wine lots. And with the wine lots comes people, comes dogs, comes off-road vehicles, comes fences, comes to everything that is adverse for effective cattle grazing. And we ended up compromising it at a 160 acre minimum. But the point of it is, you've got a lot of people who, and I think what you ought to do is get a copy of your ag county. Every county has to put out an ag report. And in it is the economics of all the agriculture in this county. And you can play with those numbers and just show people that, look, we're making a hell of a lot more money off strawberries than we could make off of any housing development.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really perceptive insight. That's what Mayor Ignacio told us, that the housing that's in our county, both the city and county, do not really pay for themselves. The services, the infrastructure costs are much higher than the taxes that the county and city receive. I also wanted to say that, Don, for those of you who don't know, the Zanger family is very famous, but they're a really prime example of agro-tourism. The Casa de Fruta franchise is very successful. And I think that, as Sam has pointed out, we can do a lot with tourism. There's ecotourism. We've got the Pinnacle National Park and many other parks. And we have actually, I think Andy and I found out, the highest percentage of organic farms than any other county in the state. And Alba is a very important part of that. Yeah, and so we have a lot of potential. We've got Teatro Campesino. There's a lot of potential agro-ecotourism and cultural tourism, theater, music festivals, art festivals, food festivals. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for the county to generate a lot of tax revenue. And Airbnb, we don't have to have hotels. Airbnbs can pay taxes. As we had the opportunity, as we were drafting this initiative, this is our second iteration. We did it 2 years ago, but we had this landfill issue come up. So we asked our attorneys to include language in the initiative that said, because originally landfills would have been exempted when it's called quasi-public land, so would not have required a vote of people, but we specifically changed it. So I don't know if Bridget or Maureen want to say a few words about the landfill and why it's really important to help them out too.
What's your slogan? Don't dump on us?
Yeah, don't dump on San Benito.
Maureen and I, we are from the Don't Dump on San Benito, because Don't Dump on San Benito is mostly about the garbage. 80% is hauled in from out of county. They've been doing this probably since 2013. And what happened is they did the county supervisors did a terrible decision by releasing the closure fund and giving Waste Connection the authority to import trash from out of county. By the way, if you don't know, we're getting the trash from 5 different counties. This is like the epicenter for 5 different counties. I mean, I didn't know much about San Benito County, but when I heard that, and then now they're proposing it to make it 5 times bigger, 483 acres, and importing even more garbage. It used to be 1,000 tons. They want to increase it to 2,300 tons.
Every day?
Every single day, 7 days a week, 361 days a year, and it would be for 50 years building a garbage mountain outside of your city. It will be.
Would it be a tourist attraction?
It will be.
Visit Mount Basura.
949 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
The mountains in the area are approximately 800 to 880 feet above sea level. So the trash mountain will eclipse our natural mountain range.
You know why 5 counties want to dump here? Because they can't dump in their own counties.
Yeah.
And again, the big player, the big winner is Waste Connection.
And Recology.
And Recology. Waste Connection was allowed to do an out-of-country contract. They don't even disclose it to us. I asked Integrated Waste Management, can I have that contract? No, they have no authority. So because they did a bid, they're importing this trash for $30 a ton. $30. This is not. This is a cheap dump for out of county. So it's just. I literally got nightmares when I start thinking about this.
Pay more in a trailer, taking your own trailer out, or just about as much.
Yeah. So the big player is really Waste Connection. Is a publicly traded Canadian company. Garbage is their business, and they're making money, but of us, of this county.
Waste Connections, also known as Waste Solutions, is the 3rd largest trash hauler in the United States. 3rd largest. San Benito County is a small county. Why would we have the 3rd largest hauler doing business in our rural county? Because they can abuse it and make money off of it. So we're fighting this, and we need your help. So with that, we are having a community forum this Tuesday night over at the Garden Shop in downtown Hollister. I don't know if any of you have been there. It's a wonderful, quaint store owned by women, independent. The address is 364 7th Street. It is between Monterey and San Benito Road on the north side. We'll be there from 5:30 to 7:30. We're hoping to get people from the city of Hollister there because we've been doing a lot of canvassing in the rural areas because we happen to live in rural areas. The landfill is in the rural areas. We've been doing as much canvassing as we've been able to with the limited resources we have in Hollister, but we need to get Hollister residents understanding what's at risk with this expansion of the landfill. We don't need the expansion. One of the things that they have put in the EIR that was released on the 15th of the month, our comments are due by the 29th of August. One of the things that they released in there is that Waste Connections, will be donating the land to the county of San Benito. This land is the 388 additional acres. We don't need that land, we don't want that land, and we don't need to take the environmental risks that could already be associated with that land. As soon as that deed becomes the county, it becomes the county's pit for money. That's another big risk. There was a recent article, it was in the Freelance. Carl Broussard wrote that article. Carl is a member of our group. Bob Tiffany had access to that article before it was published. I found that absolutely amazing that Carl's article was published the same day Bob Tiffany's rebuttal to Carl's article was published on Freelance. So obviously, at least Bob Tiffany, if not all of the Board of Supervisors, got access to that article before it was published in the newspaper. And Tiffany proceeded to rip apart the article falsely. So we will be coming back against Bob Tiffany and correcting his misrepresentations. Yes.
Do the garbage trucks have to pass through Hollister at all, or San Juan Bautista? I mean, San Juan Bautista has a road, but do you have to go through the city?
So right now, they're hauling coming off of Shore Road and coming down Fairview, which is quasi-city on one side, county on the other side, west to east. and then they're going down John Smith Road.
Well,
to get
that,
to
I
the
mean, if
landfill.
I were a city resident, I think I'd pretty be upset about garbage trucks on my streets, particularly because heavy trucks are what ruin streets.
I talked to neighbors who say they literally come by on a Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning to drop off their garbage from out of county. And this would continue for the next 50 years. I mean, once you have that garbage up there, you can never take it out. It will be our legacy. And every garbage produces methane gas. We are exposed to methane gas.
Hey Bridget, it would go from an average of about 40 trucks a day to approximately 90 trucks a day.
So have you talked to the coastal commissioner, Rick Regan, because he's concerned about it affects the environment?
Well, right now, everything is in the EIR. We're just learning more as we go. But they said, you know, there was one part about the greenhouse gas emissions that was saying simply the mitigation, well, it's unavoidable. Greenhouse gas emissions from the landfill is unavoidable.
So here is, I call it funny, but it's really disheartening. They talked about mitigation for the greenhouse gas. Their mitigation bought off our Board of Supervisors. The mitigation provides 4 electric charging stations at county buildings. The mitigation offers a new fleet of electric cars for our county board and the county division. 29 vehicles. That's a buy-off if I've ever seen one. It doesn't help you, doesn't help me, doesn't help the air around us that all of us are breathing. But it does get electric charging stations and electric vehicles for the county.
Yeah.
That's their mitigation. When you look at the EIR, it's approximately 438 pages. And then it has 4 appendices. I think it's Appendix D has the methane gas calculations. 948 pages in Appendix D. I didn't print that one out. So we're fighting an uphill battle, 949 feet uphill battle. But we're going to win with your help and the community's help. So please, please work with us, spread the word, and we hope to really see you over at the garden shop.
This landfill is contaminating our groundwater. They already, the water board from San Luis Obispo already sent them a letter about PFAS contamination from the downgradient water wells, and they actually suggested to test all the wells, the surrounding wells. And again, this landfill is only protected by liners. I mean, we have an earthquake country. You don't know how long they cannot even say how long these liners last, but you have tons and tons and tons of garbage on top of these liners. Yeah. So our groundwater is at stake. We need to protect it. And plus, what I didn't know, a landfill actually uses a lot of our good water. They literally go to they have a contract with Sunny Slope Water District, and they're using these water tanks to use it for dust suppression. And they need to, I don't know, thousands of gallons in the future, for a landfill. Again, I know we need a landfill, but we don't have to serve our county garbage.
Andy had a comment.
I just want to reiterate that one of the big connections of this issue is that our initiative would dramatically give people power over this decision for expansion of the landfill, because to do the expansion, they need to rezone rangeland for this quasi-public use, and that would require a vote of the people. And that's part of why the county is trying to rush the process now, so that we won't have a say, because it's very unpopular.
And that vote by our Board of Supervisors, there was a meeting about a month ago, and our land use, they were up talking about all of the different initiatives coming up, all of the different EIRs that were going to be before the County Board of Supervisors, and they basically said, we don't have the staff or the time
to work this all through in the time frame you, county supervisors, are demanding. We have to have some leeway here, to which one of our board of supervisors cheerily said, we'll have extra meetings. We'll get this through. Thank you, Betsy Dirks.
Before the election.
Before the election, because if they can get the vote on the landfill before the election, all of our work on this initiative, that part of the landfill is a moot point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So basically what's happening is, thank you so much. There. Thank you, Maureen and Bridget. I think what the point is that the supervisors, since they know this is on the ballot in this initiative in November 8th, they are trying to rush as many projects through, including the landfill project. So what Maureen is referring to is that I believe it's October 25th, they are trying to approve the landfill, and it's actually EIR, has just started, the comment period just started, so they're going to rush this. The other projects they want to rush, the EIR has also come out as Bedabel. Remember Bedabel? That was Measure K, which the voters voted down. Also the Highway 129 node, that's about 33 acres, that is being rushed, and they did a mitigate negative declaration, no EIR. There's also additional developments on Fairview, the Lee subdivision, 166 units. So these are all being rushed, and as Maureen pointed out, Betsy Dirks and also B. Gonzalez, when they were asked by the planners, well, how are we going to do so many projects and get it done before November 8th? They said, we will hold special meetings. So that was a bit of a shock to us. Rob can tell us if that's normal. I don't think they normally hold special meetings. So that's how motivated they are. And we were told later on by one friendly supervisor that Betsy Dirks had received $2,500 from the Lee subdivision guy, which is why she was volunteering. So that's the kind of corruption that we are very concerned about. And we will be trying to educate people, but they are really afraid of this initiative. So as you can see, this initiative is very important because that's why they're trying to speed up all these different developments. We are doing our best. These folks, the landfill group, have hired the same attorney we have, so we may be involved in some litigation. So that's been very costly. We may have 2 lawsuits potentially helping. Our group is actually helping the landfill group too, so we'll be involved perhaps helping that. So that's why I just want to close by saying if you can donate, we would greatly appreciate it. We're going to be up against, our estimate is possibly $2 million. As Andy mentioned, the last campaign we ran, which was successful, we won with 60% of the vote, Measure N. We only had 30,000. The other side had, Strada Verde side had 751,000, something like that. And we won. But the thing is, I think this one is going to be more challenging because everyone, that was outsiders. That was Newport Pacific Land Company for Newport Beach. This one is going to be Newport Pacific Land Company, the Bedabel developer, the landfill folks will be against us because they know this will affect them. All the in-county developers are going to be real estate companies. And so there's a lot, you can even see the supervisors themselves have told us they are going to start a newsletter to oppose our initiative, which we think is slightly illegal to use taxpayer money, but they're saying they're going to do that. So you can see there's going to be, this is what I call the mother of all battles. So if you could help us with a donation, we would greatly appreciate it. Oh, thank you.
We should thank Mary and Andy. They're always with the lawyers talking on the phone, Mary calling 3 in the morning, sending texts. And so they've been working super hard. All of us have. Fallon has, people all over. And I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. I think, it's really a group effort. Our group has won, as someone mentioned, every single election, and it's really because it's a team effort. We really couldn't have done it without so many volunteers.
Chamber music is my passion, but I am playing in a professional mariachi quartet now as well. We're making our debut at Cumbua Jazz Center on September 17th, which is the day after Mexican Independence Day. So if some of you want to come and have a good time in Santa Cruz, that's where we'll be. Called Love's Greeting by Edward Elgar. This is a Viennese piece written by Fritz Kreisler.